fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top now.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go. Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome one and all to this broadcast on the iRacing Esports Network. As you can see up on your screen, the Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Sprint Series Australasia, round 9 of the series at the most legendary Australian circuit, possibly the most legendary circuit in the entire Southern Hemisphere. Mount Panorama is where we're at tonight for a 45-minute race in GTE machinery. and it is just going on 6 in the morning in sim time, so we're racing at sunrise. My name is Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box, Jay Kennedy. Jay, welcome. It's going to be an awesome night, or morning, if you're talking in sim time, of racing here at Bathurst.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be a huge amount of fun. Our favourite track in one of our most favourite series. And amazing conditions for these drivers. And I must say, qualifying was so intense. We saw some of our top drivers almost miss out on making the field. It's going to be a really interesting show tonight. 39 cars in qualifying. We had 16 cars break the magic 2-minute barrier at Mount Panorama. That is how quick these guys are tonight.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, and especially in these early morning conditions where the track is nice and cool, it's going to translate to some pretty quick race times as well. Just goes to show how quick these GTE machines are. Really looking forward to seeing how this race goes. Those are the stats that you can see up on the screen now. They have to take one stop for fuel in this 45-minute race, but other than that, they're free to play around with this however they want, and safety cars are a threat as well. Yeah,
100%. We could very well see the new iRacing Porsche safety car out there on track tonight. It's a very high probability that we will see some chaos across the top of the mountain, as we've seen in previous iterations of this series. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out and how all the drivers tackle the race tonight. Only a minute away from getting to the grid. But the pace from these guys is going to be really intense, and it'll be who can keep themselves out of trouble that are going to do the best tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Bathurst is a track that we go to many times a year on SimSpeed TV, but the story is always the same. It's a track that will bite you hard if you get it even the slightest bit wrong, and you have to respect the mountain. We're taking a look at one of the drivers making his way across here, Dylan Shepherd for One Performance Racing, demonstrating the S's and Forest Elbow. The lights are well and truly on. They're going to have to start with lights on early in this one, but it's going to change rapidly as the sun comes up.
Yeah, and the track conditions will change rapidly too as the sun rises to the east and the sunlight hits the mountain. Start to see the temperatures start to rise. As the track temp at the moment around about 24 degrees. We'll see what that rises up to at the end of this race, being 45 minutes with 40 cars. No pit stops for tyres, just for fuel. So we could see quite heated conditions by the end of this one.
We certainly could, but it's time to take a look at the grid for this one. On at the first row, we got John Piesnik and Rhys Gasol, teammates formerly at Element Motorsport, and Scott Zalowski and Alexander Bird making it a Trick Sim Sports Row 2. Anthony Winkleman and Dylan Shepherd line up 5th and 6th, and the top 8 rounded out by Trent Thomas and Cody Bircher. One Performance and Trick doing quite well.
The dominant teams, along with Piesnik and Gasol. Mark Rayner in 9th position with Corey Ott alongside. Then Dean O'Brien and Ross Rizzo on row 6. Row 7, Adam Briggs and Thomas McMillan with row 8, Reese Keane and Jake Blackhall.
In 17th, we got Ryan Jarek and TJ Brown joins him. Brett Cananzi and Aaron Farmer rounding out the top 20. And Mitch Martin and Justin Strickland behind them, with Richard Hunter and Martin Silvassi 23rd and 24th.
Go over the page to Nino Natal and Benjamin Johnson, with David Jellings and Gary Cousins on the 14th row. 15th row is Paul Wood and Brock Caddy, with David Mulhall and Daniel Misdale on row number 16.
33rd is going to be Daniel Cheney for FT1. Alex Court lines up 34th, and our field rounded out by Stephen Bartholomew, Paul Nichols, Matt Huppatz, Pat Gallo and David Farrelly. Taking up the rest of that field. It's almost a full 40 cars here tonight. It's going to be a great field and a wonderful sight to see these guys streaming over the top of the mountain.
Yeah, 100% going across the top of the mountain with lights on at the in the sunrise. It's going to be a really, really cool sight. Really looking forward to it, and I must say the new Porsche safety car looks very, very cool as well.
Yeah, absolutely does. But now we draw our attention to the front of the field as John Piesnik and Rhys Gasol get going. Piesnik getting a good start as Gasol follows him. That was a very even start, actually, from everybody there, but Piesnik asserting himself into turn 1. Hell corner, and they'll go streaming up Mountain Straight. Let's have a look at what's happening in the back.
Yeah, it looks like it's going pretty clean the whole way through the field. Everyone giving themselves a lot of room. No 3-wide action, which is surprising. The front though. Peasnick, Gasul, Solosky stayed with. Have a look at the 3 trick cars. Solosky, Bird and Winkleman all stayed with there. Alexander Bird was so close to missing the grid tonight and pulled out an absolutely mega final lap after the checkered flag was out to qualifying 4th. He's going to be one to watch here.
Yeah, certainly. Alex Bird nearly missing out, as you said, Jay, but putting in that great lap to get 4th in the end. And it seems like he is doing well at the moment around this first lap. Have a look at Solovsky, on the other hand, chasing down Reese Gasul. As we take a brief look at Dylan Shepherd, these guys are pretty close right now. Peasnick starting to skip away.
Yeah, Peasnick is. Have a look at Cody Birch as well. He's applying a lot of pressure here to Trent Thomas. Just behind 2, Corey Ott and Mark Rayner almost making contact coming through Skyline. But must say, well done to everyone. We've got through Skyline. No, we haven't. David Jellings is around. How's that for commentator's curse? It looks like he has gone back to the pits, so we will stay green. I think it's the first time in Sprint Series Australasia history that we're going to stay green, but what's happened to Peasnick?
Oh no. What now?
Peasnick's slow. He's got damage. He's hit the wall.
Oh, he's got a curse at Bathurst. He has. That car has got its steering wheel about 15 degrees skewed to the left, so that was a hard hit. Whatever it was and wherever it was, that's a very awkward place for Peasnick to be. Just taking control of his car and losing it. He's going to have to let everyone go. My goodness, John Peasnick. Once again, the mountain doesn't like this guy.
No, he doesn't have any luck other than bad luck here.
Oh.
It's across. We're going to have to get a Modem Simulations replay to see if we can pick up what's happened. It looks like it's happened through the dipper, I think.
Well, let's have a look as he comes over Skyline. He's looking reasonably controlled down through the SS. Oh, no, there we go. Yeah, that's not reasonably controlled at all. That was just a little bit too far to the right, and that's ruined him. My goodness. And Cody Bircher and Trent Thomas had a bit of a coming together as well, coming through Forest Elbow. So we'll make sure to check that one out as well. This is the view from Gasul. And that's a sad sight to see your teammate in the lead getting that kind of damage.
Another incident that's happened out on the circuit as well. So something has happened between, as you said, Bertrand and Thomas. They're dropping down the timesheets here.
Oh,
something's happened at Griffin's Bend. So we'll stay with our Modem Simulations replay. Thanks again to Modem Simulation for jumping on board and helping us with our replays.
Oh, yeah. Just taking a look at that myself. This is going to be pretty bad for Trent Thomas. Cody Bird giving him a little bit of a tap in the back, and Thomas straight into the wall.
Yeah, and Birch has slowed up to redress the position, but he lost a whole heap of ground. And just seeing too, Jake Blackhall disappearing down the timesheets. What's happened to him?
Oh, that's a big incident
crash
there. Daniel Misdale involved in that as well. So it's taken a couple of laps, but this is certainly not the way many guys would have wanted to go. And actually, looking at that, Blackhole was already at a standstill when that incident happened.
Winkleman, Bird, and Shepherd going all hell for leather down Conrad Straight. Winkleman and Bird side by side into the chase, and now Shep is going to look to try and take advantage. They're going to go 3 wide into Murray's corner.
Oh, no. Careful, boys. And we got a yellow flag.
Caution's out.
Yes, indeed. And I get the feeling that might have something to do with what's happened to Blackhall up the top. So, Jay, I do think it's worth showing what exactly happened to Mr. Blackhall, because he just got really unlucky. First up, he had an incident and was on his own, stopped on the track, but then David Jellings, oh no, sorry, not Jellings, it was Misdale, yes, actually had his own incident and spun into Blackhall.
Yeah, so he was almost like he was trying to react and make sure he didn't make contact, and that made a bigger mistake. So here's the first part of the incident for Jake Blackhall, just bouncing it over the curb and then hits the inside wall. Does a good job to pull it up. Probably just deciding to wait for everyone to go through, and then he'll continue on, and then contact in the rear there from Daniel Misdale. Also noticed John Peasnick has been able to get back out on track in his spare car. He's at the rear of the field, but this will help his situation getting back through the field once again.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, pit stops are going to factor into this one, so drivers have to take that into account. If you get a safety car, then it's an opportune time to take a pit stop, get some extra fuel in the car, and even if you have to make another one later on, it's... does Peasnick still have damage?
Does have a little bit of damage, so I'm not sure whether he's actually used his spare car or not. So we'll see if he comes back in under this caution period. Maybe he decided to stay out. He has pitted. I can see on the timing screens he has pitted. So maybe he's decided just to get some damage or optional damage fixed and then go again. I'm not sure. Strange to see him back out there with that much damage. It does look pretty heavy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work out all right in the end for him. But we'll wait and see. Reese Gasol, on the other hand, he's quite comfy there in the lead of the race at the moment. Scott Kozlowski breathing down his neck, though.
And Kozlowski's looked really quick in the last few weeks as well. So remember a few weeks ago on the podium as well. Last run for All-Star Motorsports, he was on the podium, and now since he's moved over to Trick, he's almost lifted another gear. So going to be interesting to see if he can get this move done and maybe pick up the first win.
Yeah, that's it. It's something that he's been threatening to do for some time. This series has seen a variety of winners, the likes of Reese Gasol and Ross Rizzo, Luis Paulo Gallon, who I think must have called it a season by now. We haven't seen him in a couple of rounds.
Yeah, he's had a bit of bad luck. I also just heard what's happened to Peasnick. The Peasnick did come in and get some damage fixed, but he's actually made contact with Misdale when Misdale was recovering from that incident, which is what's caused the safety car. So that is why you see Peasnick back out there with damage again. So the curse of Bathurst for John Peasnick is well and truly a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just a cavalcade of bad luck for Peasnick there. But he's still got a few rounds left in the series to try and regain that momentum, and he's still got 37 minutes left in this race to make good of it.
He does still lead the championship as well, so do know that there are drop rounds that come into play. They can drop 3 of the first 9 rounds. The final round can't be dropped, so it does mean that the championship will be decided next week. But it's going to be a tough ask for Peasnick now, having a bad round. In saying that, Rizzo's a little bit down the field as well to close up the points that he needs. P9 at the moment. He will need to try and move up to probably P3, P4 to make a real indent into that championship lead of John Peasnick.
Yeah, exactly right. It's this has been a season of Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Sprint Series Australasia that's really turned on its head our expectations for the league. Remember, this was a season of new things for this championship. The team changes that have gone around at Trick, and also the switch to GTE machinery from the GT3 cars that we were using before. So it's been a little bit of a shake-up that I think this series needed, but it's still shown that there are some constants remaining.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Isn't that sort of how it's felt with this championship? We're still seeing the same guys, even with the different machinery, still seeing the same guys up the front, which means that you just can't discount skill and ability that these guys have. So, but the change to GT has actually been really positive. I just noticed the pace car driver is still drunk. So
yeah, well, the change
Porsche,
of model, yeah,
hasn't improved the safety car driver. They haven't remodeled him yet. The change to GT, I think, has been a real positive one. It's sort of helped, I think, as well with the changes to the Pro Championship as well, being switched from GT3 to GT. I think the change overall within iRacing towards a GT format for most of the endurance events has been a really strong positive one, and one that the community has really embraced as well.
That's it. GTE in real life is a spectacular category of racing. It's one of those categories that's in its prime at the moment. We've got the right blend of manufacturer support and development and speed, and the kinds of drivers that we see in these things in real life as well is awesome to see, which means that sim racing really benefits.
Of course, new car release, which we will see in the next iteration of this series, as well as OEC, which will return here on SimSpeed starting in April, we'll see the BMW, the big boy, will be out on track. Looks like it's been really well received as well. It's a lot of fun out there on track, so we will see some of them out there next season. Have a look, here we go. Pit window is going to be very, very borderline for some of these guys. Have a look at which teams are one to pit. The team that can fuel save the best, the one on the best fuel strategy, they're all coming in to splash and dash, fill up the tank and go again.
This is my surprised voice.
A few others have come in. We've got 4 trick cars in, as well as Cody Bircher. Back down the field is another trick car, that's Silvassi. So 5 of the top 6 cars that have pitted are all trick, which does not surprise anyone. We've got Mulhall and Huppets at the rear of the field all coming in as well. So what this will mean, though, it'll be interesting to see how these guys tackle getting back through the field. It's a really, really short stop there for Cody Bircher, and a really long stop for Alexander Bird. Stopped for 15 seconds. That's 9 seconds longer than anyone else. He's had some sort of trouble there.
Yeah, must have. Because, yeah, you are right about that the decision by Trick. You got to think about what kind of benefit pitting under safety car is going to have at this track, because you got to remember, once you start getting up the mountain, once the green flag drops, there's always going to be a chance that the track is going to get blocked by an incident. And if you get caught up in that, well, that's your attempted strategy play all for nothing.
I think the other part to it is that we've often seen multiple safety cars in this series at Mount Panorama, so maybe they're thinking that we might see another one that'll force the hand of the other drivers to jump into the pits, and they'll be able to jump come the time for the next pit stop. That's my thinking around what they're doing, but if it stays green, they might be in a little bit of trouble, not only with, as you said, getting through the field, but also if they got enough fuel to make it home.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's something that always comes into account in this series, and the ability to fuel save is what often brings you success. Which just goes to show that the format of this series really works. We do have varied race formats, you know, some that require fuel saving, others don't, but by and large, you have to approach this series with some kind of blend of a sprint and endurance driver mindset.
Yeah, it's a sprint series with an endurance mindset. It's a really good way of looking at it, because you do have to fuel save. You've got to really think about fuel strategy, because there's fuel stops or pit stops in pretty much every race. So those sort of elements add something extra to all of these races, which I absolutely love, and it's why it's turned into one of our more popular series here on SimSpeed.
Yeah, 100%. The lights are out on the safety car, so we are going to be going green this time by. Now, Rhys Gasol, it's his responsibility to lead the field away cleanly and swiftly when the safety car pulls into the pits. He's already going a little bit slower down the straight. He's going to let the safety car skip away, I think, after the chase. So these guys have to be really on it. Gasol doesn't have a teammate to work with on this restart this time.
No, the teammate that he has in the race back in 31st position didn't come back into the pit, surprisingly, to get any damage fix. So Peasnick is ahead of Silvassi, Bird, Jake Blackhall, David Mulhall, but looks like Rizzo, Thomas and Bircher have all got out of the pits ahead of John Peasnick. So the lead car that has pitted is Anthony Winkleman in 20th position.
We'll see how much that shifts around as the timer continues ticking. And another trend that we see in Sprint Series Australasia is the safety car will pull into the pits. The fact that one safety car can take out a huge chunk of the race, we've only got half an hour to go. This race is a third done.
Yeah, we've had 2 full green flag laps as we come up to start lap number 5 in this race. Start lap number 6, I should say. Green flag flies and we're back underway. And a good jump from everyone, nice and clean. Looks like everyone's maintained a very, very tight gap.
Yeah, that's it, and that's what we want to see, allowing some big competition for the lead. Gasol running a little bit wide. A lot of drivers experimenting with that curb on the Exeter Hill corner. Here we are on board with Adam Briggs as he chases down Dean O'Brien. And there's a pass for the lead. Incoming, Jay. Oh, my goodness. Reese Gasul going defensive against Sislovsky. Sislovsky almost tried round the outside at Griffins, and you can see, along with Dylan Shepherd, these guys are really looking to assume the lead of this one.
Yeah, 100%. Trying to get moves done as quick as they can. They know as well that these guys still have to pit. As we said, Winkleman, he's already gained a few spots, already up into 17th. We need to watch and see what that gap is once they stretch out and get their legs stretched and the field starts to spread a little bit. But they need to probably pull 20 to 22 seconds over Winkleman to ensure that they can pit, get their fuel stop done and still maintain their position. So they've got to be careful for Winkleman as they come down the mountain, almost making contact with the wall through the S's.
Yes, indeed. The top three starting to break away from the rest of the field here. Mark Rayner is the best of the rest so far, under pressure from Corey Ott. So there's a long train of cars behind them, all vying for this same position. Anthony Winkleman, meanwhile, has made his way up to 17th already. So he's made up a few positions.
On for the lead
Leading
again.
the charge. Yes, it is.
Here comes Solosky. Thought about going up the inside, but I think he's decided, let's stick behind Gasol and fuel save. Save that little bit of fuel jump in the pit stops, which we've seen so many times throughout this series. It is a very, very viable strategy. It does work in this series quite often.
Oh. He's aggressive under the brakes, isn't he, Silovsky? And Shepherd, you can see, is really pushing the limits of his one performance racing Porsche 911 RSR as well. Silovsky continuing to weave around a little bit in the braking zones there. I think he's still deciding whether or not to fuel save, because it definitely looks like he has the pace advantage at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. He looks like he wants to get it done, but at the same time he knows the smart play is to stick behind, so he's caught in two minds on what to do. Again, pulls out, but won't get the move done. Now just starting to taunt Gasol here. This Ferrari looks strong going up the mountain, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, and under brakes you'll see the Ferrari really gain here against the Porsche, and we love the balance of performance between these cars at the moment. Yes, it has been said that the Porsche is the most popular choice, but that's not necessarily because it's the best car, as we see Alex Court having a bit of trouble down the back. You can see that...
big wreck.
Oh, no! And that's a trick car involved.
Oh, we're going to car upside down, Alex Bird. We're going to have another safety car here. The track's blocked. We will see a safety car. I've got no doubt about it. The track is completely blocked. Safety car has been called. And Alexander Bird upside down. Also saw Trent Thomas was involved. He was the first one we saw around. We need to get another look at this.
We absolutely do. It's just been another one of those incidents that has plagued Trek in the last few rounds of this championship. It's a real shame for them. So these guys were getting very hairy up here, and that was Rizzo, actually.
Yeah, Rizzo and Court come together there, so we might have to go back and have another look at that, but we'll go back to Trent Thomas and see how this all started. We know that he was involved. Oh, he got a hit from behind.
Oh.
By Paul Nichols.
That ain't good.
And then after that, it was all sorts of chaos. There's Bird upside down. And from there, the track just got jammed. Good driving from everyone else behind to not make any further contact. Wow.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that
Justin Strickland?
Yeah,
Yes,
we need to have a look at the onboard there from Strickland, because watch him come up here.
It was good presence of mind from Strickland to avoid all of that, because it's completely blind there. You can't see what's going on. Right on the brakes. Oh,
just pulled it up.
My goodness. I applaud you, Mr. Strickland. That was
Let's go back and see this incident
cool.
with Ross Rizzo and see what happened here. Was there contact between these two?
Oh,
I'm fairly
looks
sure
like
there was. Was it Rizzo that was making the contact? No, it wasn't.
No.
So it was Stephen Bartholomew made contact. So
yeah, Bartholomew and Court. Yeah, Bartholomew and Court were having their own race right there, trying to fight with each other, and Rizzo is there as well. I think there might have been a bit of confusion over who was going to be put where. So this is the view from Daniel Misdale's perspective. God, he's been involved in a bit in this one, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been in the wars 100%, but that was good presence of mind to avoid the contact there and managed to get through. Now what this does, this absolutely opens this race up. The guys that pitted under that first caution period will likely have enough fuel to make it home. The guys at the front, they're going to have to be minus 100 right now to make it home. Going to mean a really, really interesting finish.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm worried for the likes of Gasul, Solovsky, Shepard, Rayner, Ott, etc. Those guys up the top. They may definitely come off the back foot after this one. I think if they want to make it home, they will have to pit under this safety car period, surely.
One thing I'm surprised about is the amount of fuel that they are using up the mountain, using a little bit lower of a gear than I thought. As I just see Shepard get into 5th gear, so these guys still, I think they're still really unsure on how to play it from here, whether they go all out or whether they go full minus 100 and try and make it home. I think if one of these guys can play a risky game and try and make it home on fuel, they could end up winning the race, but it's a really ambitious call to make, because if you get it wrong, you're going to drop all the way down the field.
Yeah, absolutely, and that could ruin your championship. Remember, we're at the business end of this season, round 9 of 11 rounds, Jay, or 12?
10. One more.
10.
Only one more to go.
Oh,
we're
goodness
off to
me.
Phillip Island next week, and that's this championship done. It is flown by.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only one more opportunity after this one for the drivers to get themselves up where they want to be. So, having the penultimate round at a track like this, where there's so much drama baked into every corner, really turns it on its head.
It's always provided some bizarre racing, hasn't it? We think back to last season, we saw our championship contenders all get taken out and Rizzo pull a Bradbury and come on through and win the championship again. This season it's provided another epic show, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of this race plays out. We'll go green next time by. Pits will open this time. Who's going to come in? It's going to be really interesting to see who jumps into the pits. You can tell everyone is fuel saving down the mountain.
Yeah, I reckon the pit is going to absolutely light up here. I would expect the top 3 in. I don't know if Gasul's going to try and pull a banzai move and stay out, try and maintain track position, see if he can make it further, maybe until another safety car period. But I think it would be the most sensible option to jump in. You can already see a bit of gamesmanship from Solovsky here. He's been flashing his lights and pulling out alongside Gasul this whole lap.
Well, always a lot of gamesmanship and a lot of strategy played out throughout the entire race. And is anyone going to come in?
They're staying out.
Wow, this is going to be really interesting. No, Solovsky in!
Oh, that was a very late dive. Too late, maybe?
I think it's okay. Shepard's stayed out. Gasul stayed out. Corey Ott's come in. Rayner's stayed out. Dean O'Brien's stayed out. Adam Briggs has come in. So it's almost a bit alternate. The even numbers have come in and the odd number positions have stayed out. What does this do for Anthony Winkleman? Where does he end up at the end of this? He's going to be into the top 10. We've got 9 at the front of the field that have not pitted. 9 at the front of the field that are going to try and save fuel and get it home.
My goodness, this is going to be such an exciting end to this one. We've only got just shy of 21 minutes remaining here.
Now have a look at this for an interesting part of this now. John Peasnick has come out ahead of Scott Solovsky, ahead of Martin Silvassi, ahead of Corey Ott, Trent Thomas, who just come into the pits as well to get some damage fixed. All of those guys that come into the lane just then have come out behind behind John Peasnick. Peasnick, we know, has a little bit of damage. He's going to be tough to pass. This is going to be real spicy.
Indeed it is. And we what's especially frustrating for us, Jay, as commentators looking at our timing screens is there hasn't been enough green flag running for us to determine what John Peasnick's race pace is at the moment in the circumstances that he's in. So it's completely up in the air for us whether or not he's going to be able to stay ahead of Solovsky when the green flag flies.
Regardless of his pace, he's going to try. We know that. We know that he'll be doing everything he can to maintain that position and try and gain spots if he can. So there's a total of 13 cars that have not made it down to the lane at all in this race. I've noticed Cody Bircher has been into the lane to serve a drive-through penalty. So the 36 car of Cody Bircher has come in and served a drive-through. That'll be for the incident you were talking about earlier between he and Trent Thomas in the first lap or so. So he still has to come back in and make another stop, or he's on the same strategy as the leaders. So saying that he's back in this group now, he might be able to save a little bit more fuel. But have a look at the damage for some of these guys back here. Have a look at that rear wing of Trent Thomas. It doesn't look right.
It's definitely not functioning as a rear wing anymore, let me tell you that.
I mean, it's a rear wing in some aspects, but I don't know how much downforce it's got. It's probably got a little bit more uplift than down.
Yeah. It's a rear wing apart from that horrendous dent in the middle of it. That part's not a rear wing, but the rest of it is.
So lights are out on the iRacing. It's still weird to say this. The iRacing Porsche safety car.
Yeah.
Considering we've had the roof for so long, and before that the Mustang. So great to see that we've got a Porsche safety car now, and now we just need the driver to not be quite as drunk as he is out there.
It's a good statement from Porsche, showing their commitment to iRacing and sim racing as a whole, with that kind of gesture from them to have the 911 GT3 Cup car, of course, minus its honking rear wing as the safety car here. It's a very nice livery as well, of course, inspired by Porsche's factory livery that they use on their cars in IMSA and the World Endurance Championship. So, a lot is up in the air here, coming off this second safety car period. The entirety of the top 9 is in doubt here. Who is going to come off the best? Will Winkelmann be able to make his charge through and assume the lead, saving fuel? Will Reese Gasol be able to hold off the imminent charge from Dylan Shepherd? Safety car is in. We're seeing a late pit stop from a driver in the background. That's Paul Nichols. But the leaders are away as the green flag flies. And my goodness, how good have the guys behind the leader been at sticking with them on the restarts?
Great jump from Dylan Shepherd. He's going to put a lot of pressure on.
Oh, yeah.
Gasol,
too much pressure.
Gasol hit that curb so hard. Just notice there, Cody Bertra's come back into the pit, so he's decided he's not going to make it. Yeah, Shepherd's going to still save a bit of fuel here. He knows that he hasn't quite got enough. Here we go. Rayner's also in this too, and Dean O'Brien, you can't discount him. We know the pace that he's got. McMillan's not too far away as Winkelmann gets a spot. He's up into 9th.
There we go. So well into the top 10 for the first guy to really throw the gauntlet down in terms of strategy. Oh no, not again.
Crash.
Not again.
Track's blocked again. Are we going to see a caution?
We'd
Still
have
green
to.
at this time. It looks like we will have to see a caution because the track is completely blocked. We are still green at this stage.
Everyone seems to be finding their way past McMillan fairly well there.
We also had Mitch Martin involved too. He's stopped a little bit further up the track. We'll get a replay very, very soon, but Gasol, Shepherd, Rayner and O'Brien have broken away a little bit there. And Mitch Martin still stopped on the edge of the circuit. He's been given permission to tow back to the pits. Also got Jake Blackhall stopped out on the circuit as well, a little bit further on down the track. So McMillan's done that one all on his own by the looks of it. And then the rest of the guys have just come through. Nowhere to really go, and that's pretty unfortunate. You can see, I think Winkelmann did make contact there. Solosky just made it through. But what this has done, this will help Gasol and Shepherd as well.
Yeah, it absolutely will. As we take another look at the angles of that incident. Blackhole, we take a look at him to see what happened to him. Facing a lot of pressure from a Ferrari. He'd gotten into the wall somewhere. Oh.
Just also seeing Adam Briggs. Oh!
Yeah. Whoa, yeah. Big oversteer moment at McPhillamy. Ouch!
Actually lost a wheel.
Ouchie, ouchie.
That rear left wheel, a rear right wheel is pulled out of the car.
Okay.
I have not seen that before.
No.
I'm more than happy to see it though. That's in some ways anyway. I'm sorry for Jake Blackhall, but
well, we're gonna see that a lot more with the new damage model upcoming for iRacing, aren't we?
100% we will. It's on at the front. Mark Rayner has dropped from these two. From the two at the front, which is Gasol and Shepherd. They're starting to break away and get a pretty decent gap. They've got 10 seconds over Anthony Winkleman and Ross Rizzo.
Goodness me. Well, this is going to be quite interesting because there's a few more elements introduced to this one now. You see Winkleman was just on screen there carrying a lot of damage on both the front and the rear of that machine. One side of the rear wing looking rather sad at the moment, but he's continuing to push on and he's managing to stay ahead of his teammates. So
they're losing time though. Have a look at that gap growing. There's another 10th just in that little section there. So they've lost pretty much half a second across the top of the mountain. Have Winkleman and Ross Rizzo. This damage from that incident is really hurting them. They've lost another 10th.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is really going to help Gasul and Shepard, I think, because it's a couple more guys that they don't really have to worry about at this stage, at least.
Rayner back through. Wow, what a move!
That was a hero move right there. Dean O'Brien, I think, will be a little frustrated with that, but
he thought he had it done.
Yeah, but it's awesome racing that we're seeing at the moment between these two. Ferrari versus Porsche, fantastic, and further down through the field, that's Martin Silvassi. I think that's Ott that he's chasing down.
Yeah, they actually have just changed position. Corey Ott through on Martin Silvassi. Also just seeing Justin Strickland getting through on Trent Thomas on the timing sheets. But have a look at the gap now between Shepard and Gasul. It is fairly big. As we're just seeing Richard Hunter's had an issue out on the track as well. It looks like he's got going again. He's had an issue at the exit of the chase, back going in the right direction again. Dean O'Brien applying a lot of pressure to Mark Rayner, though, for podium spot, potential podium spot here.
Yeah, absolutely. Dean O'Brien, he knows what's at stake here. So does Rayner. They're both going to fight.
No!
Oh, no! Oh, come on!
Shepard! That's Shepard involved in an incident, and then Rayner's made contact with him. So So that's one performance cars having issue at the same corner. I'm wondering if this car setup really struggling through that part of the track. He's got it going again. Rayner's really hurt. And Winkleman's got to try and get through here.
Oh, careful, guys. We're coming into the last 12 minutes of this one. You don't want to be making mistakes like that now. Let's see what happened to Shepard. But it's yet another incident that's happened at the cutting. That's a real problem corner in this one. If I sounded frustrated before, I do apologize. Shepard, just looks like he lost it under brakes. I think they need to dial the brake bias forward a bit on those things.
Oh, have a look at Dean O'Brien just getting through, and then TJ Brown getting through as well. But Rayner's so unlucky. And Dean O'Brien and TJ Brown both very, very lucky to get through. Gap between Winkleman and Gasul is stretched out to 12 seconds, but have a look at this for Rayner. It comes up and like, oh no, there's a car. Where am I going?
That's the sim racing definition of a nasty surprise right there. Coming around the cutting to see a car stationary. No driver wants to be in that position. But Gasul, I think his driving just before Shepard's incident was really telling, because I think Gasul has now recognized he can't drive to a fuel number anymore. He's out in the lead. He doesn't have anyone chasing him down. He has to go right flat out and put track position ahead of everything else.
Yep, and have a look at this battle pack here behind Corey Ott. So Corey Ott, Silvassi, Pat Gallo, Justin Strickland, David Mulhall, Daniel Misdale, Trent Thomas, Brian Jerick, Brock Cadday, and also Nina Natal, all in a big long group of cars together here. This is a very spicy little battle here too. Gap between Winkleman and Gasul is stretching. I'm wondering if Gasul realised... almost contact between Mulhall and Strickland there. Wondering if Gasul realises that gap is growing so he can actually back it down a little bit. Maybe be able to shorten his stop. Maybe even save enough to make it home.
Well, this is the thing. This is the dilemma that Gasul faces. Yes, he can back off and save and make his pit stop shorter, or he can go as fast as he possibly can, build up enough of a gap that he can end up taking a pit stop and not having to worry so much about the guys bearing down on it. The question is, that's a balance. Oh no.
That's Brock Cadday, who's decided to pull it over. I'm going to guess he's made contact with the wall up through Metal Grey. So we go back to this battle for 4th position between Aaron Farmer, Dylan Shepard, Mark Rayner, Anthony Winkleman and Ross Rizzo. I'll tell you what, spot the car that isn't damaged. There isn't any.
What a pack. Really enjoying this one. It's Wow, look at that. That's Dylan Shepherd.
Winkleman.
A little bit of contact with Winkleman there. Shepherd, of course, missing the hood of his car. And they're making more contact. Oh, off the circuit. I think Shepherd. Oh, Winkleman with more trouble as well. Both of those guys just tripping over themselves there, I think.
And have a look at Solowski coming through with the Bradbury effort. He's just got 2 spots. Got Winkleman and Shepherd. He's up into 7th. And Rizzo now in 6th position. Probably the least damaged out of those guys in that battle pack we were watching. Gap 16 seconds. We said it needed to get out to about 25. See what it gets to. 5 laps to go.
And this is why we love it when we come here. This kind of racing is fantastic. There's Rayner going by Farmer. It looks to me like Farmer was just letting him go. Rayner looks like he's a
fuel strategy.
Yeah, meanwhile Rayner's a man on a mission.
He probably knows that he can't make it on fuel, so he's got to go all out attack. Farmer probably knows that he's got enough to make it home and be happy to get a top 10 with a fuel saving strategy. We'll see if we're right. It's saying that the guys behind, they've got that little bit of damage, so he might think that he can hold them off.
Yeah, that's it. It's an interesting position that Farmer's in, because his car does look in pretty good shape. Solovsky also has not as much damage. Rizzo as well, so who knows? Maybe it's a good idea for these guys to start pushing now as well.
Got an incident back in the field as well. Nino Natal, have a look at the damage on his car. He's hit the wall very, very hard. And I don't know if there was another car involved there or not. But we'll find out here. There was another car. That's Daniel Misdale's hit the wall. Also just behind, that's Trent Thomas. Oh no, Ryan Jerrick. And, and Thomas. Thomas has just come in and, made contact with Natal. And then, there's Alexander Bird. Oh, there's another car upside down.
Goodness.
That's Matt Huppert who was flying through the air there. So, no wonder that car of Natal's looks a little bit damaged, a little bit second-hand. Do we go back to this battle pack for 5th? And Farmer is now holding these guys up well and truly.
Oh, careful. Sticking the nose in is Rizzo. We don't often see the racer side of Ross Rizzo, but this is one opportunity to watch him in action trying to pass another car.
He often just gets the positions a little bit easier than others. I've just seen Corey Otts around at the final corner. It's Rizzo with the draft up Mountain Straight. Solowski's got a really good run here too, so we might see him make a move here on Ross Rizzo. Gap between these guys and the leader of Gasol is now 17 seconds and growing.
Well, now Gasol has to push, doesn't he? Got to bring up that buffer as much as possible.
A lot of our championship contenders haven't had a great night tonight. Just saw there Alexander Bird. Also just seen as well that John Piesnik has retired from the race. So this has really opened up the championship fight coming into the final round.
Yeah, absolutely has. And we want you to tune in this time next week at Phillip Island so you can see it. The racing is exceedingly likely to be just like this much action. Have a look at Solovsky pressuring his teammate. God, I love this series.
100%. Just see Rayner. Sorry, that was Farmer. Did he just clip the wall there? It's pretty close. It may have been Rizzo. One of the two just clipped the wall. So just see Winkleman looking. Sorry, it's Dylan Shepherd looking to come back through on Anthony Winkleman. They're going to go side by side the whole way down Conrad Straight. Farmer, Rizzo, Solowski. Yeah, they have. Shepherd's so down on straight line speed though. He's got pace through the corners across the top of the mountain. He just can't use it down the straight. But here comes Solowski looking on his teammate, and Rizzo also looking to make moves. They're going to go 3 wide into the chase here. Rizzo around the outside.
Oh,
he's
careful.
done it.
He has done it. Aaron Farmer with not much to say in response, but he is still pressuring Solowski there, giving him just enough room, a little bit of wiggle room, and he's not able to make it round the outside. Tell you what, Farmer is not making this easy, and Solowski's not too happy. He just flashed his headlights there. Oh, careful! Bit late on the brakes.
Just seen Stephen Bartholomew loop it around at the final corner as well, but wow, what a fight. Farmer's doing nothing wrong here. He's just driving. He knows that he can make it home on fuel. He knows that he's got enough in the tank to get 3 more laps. These guys around probably don't realise that that's what's going on right now.
Yeah, they
Winkelmann,
must think that he's off strategy and shouldn't be fighting them. That's why Solovski's looking frustrated.
I think you're right. I think that these guys don't realise that he's going to make it home on fuel. I'm wondering if Gasul now is starting to back off a little bit. No, looking at the time, he's not. Dean O'Brien's the one that could be a real dark horse here. Currently in second, he's got 10 seconds to Gasul. If he's fuel saving, he can make it home. This could be a surprise here.
I tell you what, it certainly could be. Keep an eye on Dean O'Brien, because that could turn everything on its head. Meanwhile, this battle looks to me like Farmer managed to get a bit of a gap out across the top, but once they get on the brakes, Solovski is right on the back. Yeah, Dylan Shepherd, he's going to get passed by Winkelmann on Conrod Straight, no question.
Oh, look at how much he's come back, though, in the braking zones. He's so good under brakes. He just can't capitalise. He's got no straight line speed. He did get through on the front straight into turn 1 into Hell Corner, but now look at how far down he is, but he'll gain that all back into the chase. Will we see Solovski come through, though?
Yeah, well, that's very close. It might be a big dive. Farmer is going to stay right in the middle of the circuit. Solovski coming through, a little bit of contact. Can they pull it up? They can just, but Solovski gets a bad exit. Oh, no! Aaron Farmer, rear end contact there, and Anthony Winkelmann spun him around. Aaron Farmer becoming yet another car with lots of damage on it. My goodness.
Brett Cananzi hit himself in the wall there trying to get through as well.
I don't think much of that really needed to happen, if I'm honest. Oh, and that certainly didn't need to happen either. What's going on?
That was strange, the end of that, but wow.
Come on, guys.
There's some big moves going on out there on track, and I'm sure Race Control will be looking at this post-race. Here's the incident again. Started with Farmer and Solovski. Solovski ran a little bit wide. There's a little bit of bumping, and then there's fairly heavy contact in the rear from Anthony Winkelmann.
I mean, let's be honest here. These drivers are better than this.
Yep, 100%.
We know them to be a lot better than this in situations like that. I don't know what it is about Bathurst, but it seems to bring out the best in some and the worst in others. That's all 100%. I'm going to say.
Just also got another incident that we're wanting to watch here. Something's happened to Trent Thomas because he's showing on the timing sheets as position 1. Wow, that's a bizarre hit between he and, I think, is that David Jellings? Not sure.
Possibly. Jellings is in a Ferrari. That was a Ford.
Yeah, so that may have been Adam Briggs. Yes, it was. And Aaron Farmer still having issues. We come back live. Gap between Dean O'Brien to Reece Gasul is 11 seconds. There's 1.5 laps to go. Will Gasul come into the pits or will he stay out? If he stays out, he's got it. It's in the bag. It's his.
Yeah. If he needs to pit, though, Dean O'Brien is going to be right there. We still don't know if O'Brien has the fuel to make it home, but I think that's going to definitely
be... Out too.
Yeah, and this is the last lap, is it not?
It will be the last lap. So there's under 2 minutes left on the clock. Race pace has dropped down to around about a 2-minute lap time. Gasul definitely will be on the last lap here, seeing he's on Mountain Straight. 1:25 left on the clock. This is the final lap of the race. Will Gasul make it home? He's got plenty of gap behind him to make it if he does need to fuel save.
Yep, that's exactly right. It doesn't look like he's backing off too much, though. Coming up into the cutting.
As long as he's got enough fuel to cough it through the chase, he'll be okay.
Yeah, he can do a mega clutch down Skyline through the S's.
Remember now there is a starter as well, so you can actually bounce it off the starter and roll it down the straight as well. So
yes,
there is a new feature for iRacing as well there that these guys can use if they do run out of fuel. Seen a few drivers test that for V8 Scops over the weekend. Gasul, this has been a good drive from him. He just took advantage of the mistake from his teammate in Peasnick, who just has nothing but bad luck at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, Gasul, I think, has been the driver, along with O'Brien and Rayner. Those drivers have done the most right in this race. You know, they're going to show up on the timesheets with a big fat 0 next to amount of pit stops done. They've just managed to play to the situation, take advantage of situations absolutely brilliantly, and I think this is going to be a very well-deserved victory for Reece Gasul.
Just managed to keep it out of trouble, keep it clean, and use the safety cars to his advantage. This clock is now officially at 0, so this is the end of the race, and what a good drive it's been.
Absolutely. Gasul exiting the final corner now to take victory in round 9 of Sprint Series Australasia, and Dean O'Brien, another fantastic drive here. In fact, the entirety of the top 3, awesome drive from those guys. O'Brien is going to get second, and Rayner is going to manage to hold off Ross Rizzo for third.
Well done to Mark Rayner. Probably deserved a little bit better there with that incident when Dylan Shepherd hit the wall. So he probably could have been in for a second. He and O'Brien were having a great fight. Ross Rizzo somehow pulls out a 4th position from nowhere. TJ Brown, he'll be over the moon with a 5th. Winkelman gets 6th. Shepherd gets 7th. Sorry, Silvassi gets 7th. Shepherd gets 8th. Strickland 9th and Cananzi in 10th. But Race Control are going to have a busy week reviewing those few incidents at the back of the field there, at the back end of the race there. As we see Daniel Misdale defending aggressively from Cody Bircher.
Yes, indeed. And if he's going to be able to keep this position, and he is, that's going to be something good to come away from tonight with. And Corey Ott, my goodness, there were so many drivers in this race that should have finished much higher than they did, but due to various reasons, did not.
That's
Aaron Farmer, yeah, oh my goodness, he is in a bad way, isn't he?
Yeah, it's so disappointing. He was in for such a great finish. He worked the strategy out in his favour. And, yeah, not much more that you can say, unfortunate for him. Hopefully he does officially get classified. I don't think he will. That looks too heavily damaged now. Might have to reverse it down, Conrad. He's going to try, though. He's still got a minute and a half to get it home, so he might be able to do it. He has got no one behind him, so he will get classified in 27th position regardless. But I think a bit of pride, he wants to bring it home before he can then go and complain to Race Control about how that all played out. Interesting, the gap between Misdale and Bircher when we saw them cross the line there, 1/100th of a second.
Yeah, certainly. And Farmer,
I think that's
yeah, he's probably, well, is he trying? I'm not quite sure. But either way, these are the unofficial results. Rhys Gasil taking victory from Dean O'Brien, and Mark Rayner completing the podium. Ross Rizzo, once again, Mr. Recovery, coming home to finish 4th after being involved in so much stuff through the race. TJ Brown coming home in 5th, Anthony Winkelman, Silvassi, and Shepherd rounding out the top 8.
9th position is Strickland with Cananzi in 10th. Those guys will be pretty happy with the top 10 finishes. David Mulhall in 11th position with Scott Solosky, Ryan Jerick, and Adam Briggs rounding out the top 14 with Gary Cousins and Richard Hunter 15th and 16th position.
17th is going to be Daniel Misdale. Made his way from outside the top 30 to finish 17th, which is a really good run, all things considered. Cody Bircher, another driver with a what could have been race, 18th for him. Alex caught up into 19th, and Daniel Cheney in 20th. Corey Ott's going to have to settle for 21st in the end. Reese Keane, 22nd. Pat Gallo making a really good run to 23rd from 38th. And David Farrelly, 39th to 24th.
Stephen Bartholomew in 25th position. Matt Huppert's in 26th, the last driver classified on the lead lap. Aaron Farmer did not make it home before the clock hit 0, so he is now 1 lap down. In 27th position, along with Paul Nichols, Trent Thomas, Alexander Bird finishing 3 laps down with Paul Wood, and Nina Natal also not making it home in the end.
Yes, indeed, and further retirements from this one. McMillan, Caddy, Johnson, Peasnick, that's the biggest one. That's going to really hurt his pursuit of the title. Mitch Martin, Jake Blackhall, and David Jellings rounding out your field. But my goodness, there's plenty that can be said about that race, and I think I might leave it at that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think we need to say too much more. I think it will be hotly discussed throughout the week. Race Control will have an absolutely hectic week. We thought Race Control after Viet Scott's going to have a busy one. These guys might have an even bigger week ahead to review that race.
Yeah, certainly. So that's going to be, I think, the end of proceedings here tonight for Sprint Series Australasia. Jay, my goodness. Coming into Phillip Island, I suppose we should look forward to the last round of the championship. That's where the title is going to be decided, and it's certainly going to be a close one.
And it will be decided on the track. We will have, I think, 6 or 7 contenders in the championship, so it'll be our biggest final we've had in this series. Last season we only had 3 contenders. The season before we only had 2. So to have so many contenders at the end of this one, it's going to be really, really cool to see how it plays out, who will win, and whether Ross Rizzo can go 4 from 4.
Exactly. Well, if you want to join us to find out who is going to come out the best in this series, it's same time next week on the iRacing Esports Network. We're going to be visiting Phillip Island for the final round of the Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Sprint Series Australasia. Please join us for that. Make sure to subscribe to us at SimSpeed TV and hit a sub for the iRacing Esports Network as well, bringing you professional broadcasts from the best in sim racing. Fun doesn't stop though over on SimSpeed TV. We've got GT1 run by Oceanic Sim Racing tomorrow night. And then on Friday on the iRacing Esports Network, we've got the Australian Online Supercar Championship. That's going to be an awesome one. Thank you very much for joining me, Jay. We'll see you all next time. This is going to be one that goes down to the wire.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's going around the outside of both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to him. Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?